In this lesson, we're going to finish the UVing process of our weapon. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's select the hammer, and we're going to add, let's first add our material to it, and then we'll add the unwrap UVW modifier to that, open it up in our editor, and turn off our background. And let's go ahead and just select everything right here, and then we'll do mapping, flatten mapping, hit OK, and this just kind of helps make sense of everything that's here. We can start to see certain parts that are important and all of that. So I'm going to break these apart on their smoothing groups as well. So let's go ahead and go to smoothing group 1, hit OK on that. And so those should all be on their own smoothing group. So what I'm going to do is just right click and break, and I'm going to move those out over here just to start working on those. So right here over the top of this here, we can actually start stitching this together so that way it just lays out flat, okay, kind of like a cloth or something. So we'll just stitch that, and go to the top here and stitch that. So here it's like looking at the side of the hammer, and then it goes over the top and then back to the other side. Whenever we do that, let's go ahead and select everything on it, and let's just do a quick relax on it just to check. Okay, looks good. And then the next thing that we have on our smoothing group is going to be this one. Okay, so let's just go to edge mode, select those edges, and just stitch them together just to make a string. Okay. And we should go all the way around. There we go, that looks good. And then we have this piece here. And for some reason that's on smoothing group 1, but that really shouldn't be. Let me check that one more time. Let's go to our selection. Yep, that's all on smoothing group 1. This end right here should actually be on smoothing group 2, so that way we have a hard edge on that. And so that's what's creating this weird shading along the front. So again, not a big issue, just right click, convert it to editable poly. And let's try that one more time. Right click, convert to editable poly. Go to polygon mode. Actually, let's go to vertex mode. Select this one, hold down control, go to polygon mode, and then let's set this to smoothing group 2. Turn off smoothing group 1. There we go. And then let's go ahead and add the unwrap UV. And let's open up that editor again. Turn off our background. Okay, so there's that. Okay, all of those should be good just the way they are. Whoops, so let's make sure we select by element. And move that. Alright, now let's select the next pieces. Let's select by smoothing group 2. That should be everything else. Yeah, I mean, these are great the way they are, but I do want the actual hammer itself. I want all of this to be separated out, okay, on its own. So I'm going to basically be creating its own UV set. Let me turn off that ignore back facing. We select everything in that. And let's go ahead and do all the way down to here. That seems to make the most sense. Okay, so something like that. Let's go ahead and just let's isolate our selection really quickly. Make sure that we have all the polygons in that selected. All right, great. Now with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click and break that just in case it's attached to anything else. And then let's start stitching all of this back together. So a good place for the seam to go would be like maybe right across this edge right here. So let's select these polygons all the way around just like this, and that should select that entire loop. I'm not worried about what it looks like over here right now. And then we'll select underneath here, and then we'll select everything in between that. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and use Make Planar, or excuse me, Planar Projection, And let's do the Z direction and fit. And let's go ahead and rotate it to where it's basically averaging that out. And we'll fit that again. And so that has been set out. Now, let's go ahead and just move this out of the way really quickly, and then we'll go ahead and scale it in the horizontal direction, because you'll notice we've got that skewing going on. So let's scale that in, make that a little more narrow. You can see that we've got nice little squares there. Then we can come in and just do a relax to tidy up the UVs. And you'll notice that it started relaxing and it crossed itself. It wasn't bad, but let's go ahead and mirror horizontal and then start to relax again. And we shouldn't have anything like that. So normally if it crosses over itself, sometimes that can create a less than perfect relax. So with something with so many polygons like this, I didn't want to take that chance. All right, so now we've got that. You know, now that I look at it, let's go ahead and just split it from the top and bottom. Let's select all of these polygons. So just append that, holding down Control. And then with that, actually we could probably select these too. Now that I'm looking at it, let's do Make Planar. Let's do Z and then rotate it. Kind of like that, and then we'll fit. And then let's go ahead and use our scale tool again. Turn off your projection and scale that. Let's just look at the main portion of that, scale that in. Nice and square, and then right click mirror horizontal. Start relax on that. And there we go. So now we get this nice checker pattern all the way across the bottom there. And that looks pretty good. All right, now let's select everything else on the other side of that. And we're going to do the same thing to the top here. So just finish that up. And we'll do the same thing. We're just going to come in. It looks like I've accidentally selected some of these pieces. I don't want to do that. And finish up. Okay, so just do a quick double check, make sure you haven't selected anything you weren't supposed to. I guess we could have just selected everything up here. Same thing, it doesn't really matter. Do planar projection. Let's do Z direction and then rotate it. And I'm going to rotate it to where it's an angle that cuts across most of that. And then we'll do fit. And take a look here. Go over across the top. Grab your scale tool, turn off planar projection, and then scale in the horizontal. So something like that. Get a nice square checker pattern there. And then let's relax that. And there we go. So there's that. Let's pull that back. Let's pull this out of the way. We've got this piece here, which is nice and flat. Everything looks good there. And then we've got all of this here. That looks good. Those are on their own smoothing group. Okay. All right, so with everything else here, let's go ahead and pack this in the UV space. And there we go. We've got that. All right, turn that off. Let's go ahead and go back and let's select the key lock and we'll start working on it. Now I said we were going to finish this up, but that hammer took a little bit longer than I expected it to. But that's okay. That gives us opportunity to really take a look at how we want to break this apart, because we do have some different smoothing groups on this key lock. So let's go ahead and take a look at it next.